brother, you're welcome to today's edition of the editorials. You're broadcasting from Canada. My name is Sandra Asante. Today we'll be looking at, we are still in Ethiopia's Tigray crisis. We'll be focusing on the forces, resurgence, raising questions for Abiy Ahmed. So I'll be back after the break. You're welcome back from the break. Thank you so much for always staying with me. The forces captured of Tigray's capital city, Mekelle, is a significant milestone in the 8-month conflict in northern Ethiopia, which has killed thousands of people and left millions in desperate need of food and other assistance. Will it be a turning point in the war? The Ethiopian government pulled out its troops after months of fighting, sparking celebrations on the street. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed initially said the withdrawal was a strategic move because the city was no longer the center of gravity for conflict. But he later confirmed it was to avoid further casualties. We don't know how true that is, but we have seen a very significant shift in the war, says Will Davison, senior analyst for Ethiopia at the International Crisis Group. It signaled that either the federal government was unable to hold on to Mekelle, or it is realized that it is in its best interest to withdraw from Tigray. That was in light of significant battlefield gain by the forces loyal to the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF. After withdrawing, the Ethiopian government unilaterally declared a humanitarian ceasefire in Tigray, saying a pause in hostilities were needed to allow farming activity to take place and for aid to be delivered. But since then, TPLF forces have continued fighting, seizing more territory, including the town of Shire. The Tigrayan forces now appear to have the upper hand in this long-running conflict. How this will play out remains to see. Now let's look at eyes on Amhara brewing conflict. Experts say Ethiopia's leader will now be focused on what happens in the west of Tigray and the conflict between Tigray forces and forces from neighboring Amhara states. Amhara is home to one of the largest ethnic groups in Ethiopia. The fertile land around the state's border with Tigray has long been disputed, and Amhara regional forces and militias are trying to win back some of the territories which they say is rightfully theirs. The Amhara wing of Prosperity Party is one of the most powerful regional branches of Abiy ruling party, said Lane McDermott, an analyst at the security consultancy Protection Group International. So that means potentially tolerating and supporting Amhara efforts to annex area of the Tigray region, which many Amhara argue were part of Amhara region prior to 1991. Mr. Davison said there is another reason for the federal government to focus on the Amhara region, which shares a border with Sudan along with Tigray. He said that would prevent the Tigrayans using the area to create an international supply route if other channels to Tigray are cut off. What isn't clear is the extent to which the Ethiopian military has been weakened during the past 8 months of fighting. The forces group have claimed it recently neutralized tens of thousands of Ethiopian soldiers in its June offensive. It hasn't specified whether that means those soldiers were killed or captured as prisoners of war, but either way, the losses to the Ethiopian National Defense Force appear to be heavy. Alex Delwau, executive director of the World Peace Foundation of Boston, says the ENDF was an army of 20 divisions. 7 have been completely destroyed, 3 are in shambles. But other commemorators said definitive about the scale of the Ethiopian losses. It is one of million-dollar question, says Mr. Davison. We don't really know, but I think it's pretty worrying picture for the future forces. There has been a significant depletion and also significant loss of morale. Compared to the Ethiopians' former status as much valued regional peacekeeper, Its military is now significantly weak, he added. What is certain is that for Ethiopia, the financial cost of the war has been huge. The Prime Minister said this week that on top of the cost of the military effort in Tigray, his government has spent more than 100 billion birr, that is about 2.3 billion and 1.7 billion euros on the rehabilitation of food aid, a figure he said was equivalent to around 20% of this year's national budget. We don't know how true that is as well, but Mr. Abiy's next step will be watched closely by the international community, which for months had been raising concerns about the flight of civilians in Tigray. Since withdrawing from Mekelle, the federal government has been accused of cutting off the electricity supply and phone lines to Tigray, leaving hospitals there relying on generators, according to the International Committee of the Red Cross. That does not amount to a humanitarian ceasefire and instead represents a major constraint on the humanitarian operation, Mr. Davidson says. What looks like an Ethiopian policy to make Tigray further ungovernable now that the indecent leader are back in charge will have a further devastating impact on the civilian population. Thank you so much for watching today's editorial. My name is Sandra Asante. I'll see you some other time.